Good morning, Divine Masculines, to the DM channel, Earth Angel. Today, in the healing process, we will take up the topic of expectation first, and then we will come to emotions. Of course, in very brief, I'll try to give very significant points that I could assimilate within a short span of time. So, in expectation, what do we mean by expectation? First of all, expectation means what, and it leads to what? This is something which we have to think critically, and once we are able to attain some kind of conclusion, logical conclusion, we will be able to understand the answers towards healing. Okay, when do we heal? Why the answers heal us? Answers heal us because when we get the answers, we understand, and by way of awareness, we stop feeling the hurt. As soon as we might feel the pain, but we'll stop being hurt anymore from that particular situation. We might feel the pain of loss, but we will not feel the hurt of the experience once we understand and become aware, well aware, deeply aware of it. So that is called healing. Now, expectation leads to bleeding, not to healing, I would say. Okay, bleeding means not actual blood. I would say it's a mental bleeding, psychic bleeding, I can say. Okay, it is a kind of I can say dent into the the fabric of your psychic capacities, the powers that human beings have, the self has, I would say, because we're talking about the self and its healing all the time. So let us address ourselves as self. Okay, so self will start bleeding in a psychic manner. It would start repentance, and it would be very remorseful in situations where we have expectations. Now, if we talk about situations of expectations in daily lives, we have to mention the importance of relationships. We have to mention different types of bonds. Basically, the human society that is comprised of these bonds and traumas that the relationships that we cherish actually makes us very dependent. It cripples us, I would say, towards self supportiveness. It gives us it's not that I'm appreciating hurts and pains, but basically I'm trying to understand by the self that is within me, and I'm trying to bring some rational explanation to get yourself to agree to the self of mine, to come to one track, like it's make-believe situation where that this kind of dependency is the ultimate consequence of expectations. Okay, so if we have expectations, that means we are actually digging trench for us, for our selves to fall into it. We are making severe damage to the areas of our strengths. We are actually creating weaknesses for ourselves, and we can always rectify and remedy this. Remedial situation would be always to get rid of expectations. Okay, now getting rid of expectations is one kind of practice. Okay, now what kind of practice it is and how we can benefit the best out of it, we have to see the pathfinding. Okay, now if there is expectation, please try to understand that if there is so now once we are done away with expectations, most of it entirely, it is not possible to remove the expectations. But if we try at least 99 or else at least 98%, it is possible, I would say. 2% of expectations is normal movement expectations, that is nothing extraordinary and nothing to fear about. But basically the fear lies in situations when we are wounded, we are hurt, and from that hurt we are trying to submerge it either, or we are trying to move on, you can say, from the modern phrase that I've heard, move on. We are trying to come out of it, I would say, extricate ourselves, release our wounds by depending on other situations, by other confinements of relationships and other kind of bonds which may or may not be strong, because at the moment when we are wounded and hurt, we are not in a strong self to actually choose the strong relationships or strong kind of support, that moral support that we are looking for at the moment. At the moment we are not in a position to find for ourselves, because we are weak mentally at the moment, we are hurt. Now when we are expecting at that moment of hurt and wound, we will definitely expect whatever comes our way, we will accept it as something supportive for us. But that is the moment when you should not take any help from anyone. When you are expecting help and you lend your hand to somebody, or somebody lends their hands to you, or you stretch out to someone for any kind of moral support, please remember that is the situation when advantage seekers are most awakened and aware of taking away everything from the self of yours. So this is a situation when you should not, it's a very vulnerable situation, I would say, and it is vitally important that we absolutely keep to ourselves. Now how we can do this? How can we guard and protect our expectations? This can be done by self-realization. Okay, everything you see, every wound, every healing, and healing from a wound means unaware, being unaware, I would say, not being knowledgeable. See, every wound can be wiped off if you can get greater and greater knowledge, deeper and deeper knowledge of why that particular thing or event or incident, negative thing has occurred. Once you get the actual deepest knowledge of that fact, you will find that it has occurred because it should have, the consequence was necessary. That is why it took its course in somehow or the other, some method. In that case, the hurt will stop. So first criteria that we essentially require to get rid of expectations from to heal from wounds is that we should search for the truth, the authenticity of the why, the purpose of which the incident has been the consequence. So this incident that has taken place with us is absolutely hurtful. It is absolutely, it has wounded us. But then why it has happened? And what is the purpose of it? This why and the search for the truth will lead us to the actual, I would say, answer, the derivable answer, which is the platform of that occurrence, of that happening. On that platform, that happening is very justified. That happening was the actual acted out scene that was destined. So once we get that reason, that core truth, that authentic, rational, I would say, rational happening that was directed by some higher power. Once we are able to see that truth, the wound will be healed. So, if I say that truth is going to heal a wound of the self, then juxtaposed to that, I can say that relationships or any kind of bondage, any kind of dependency which are frivolous, which are morally weak, which are otherwise different types, but truth cannot heal us. I mean to say in simple word, if truth can heal us, we can be assured of the fact that lies will never heal our wounds. So if we have decided to look into the lies to heal ourselves, we will be submerged, buried under the mud. It's a live grave for us. We will not be able to stand up for the self. Instead, we are going to submerge the self into something which is going to unalive us. Not enliven, but unalive. So, to enliven the self from the wound, we have to get the truth. We have to see the truth, we have to hear the truth, we have to know the truth, we have to learn the truth, we have to work out the truth, and we have to get the output of truth. This should be our aim, okay? This is the way we can get rid of expectations. So, in other words, we can see that expectations which are basically not based on truth will not bring us output. And when such expectations fail us, it is going to become wound. And when the wound is required to be healed, again there is another process, a repeated process, where we need to search for the truth. And again, when we fail to find the truth for that particular wound, and reiterate that same mistake of relying on another wound or a hurt, another expectation, that is, then another wound will be formed. In this way, wounds pile up, okay? And healing never takes place. So once and for all, when we are hurt, we have to get rid of the expectations and start to look for the truth. Face it, confront it, take it as it is, Don't blame yourself. That is very important, because whatever is happening outside the self is a witness of it. Self is not in charge of the incidents that are taking place. So wherever we are, imposing ourselves as the manager, as the director, as the performer of everything that is happening to us, there we make the mistake. We are trying to magnify ourselves, but we do not see the magnificence of the director of the Almighty, director of the incidents of lessons that are occurring, that is happening on his directions in our lives in front of us. It is just trying to teach us something. So in other words, when something is happening to you, try to be the witness. Make the self of yours witness what the what the person in front is doing towards you. And as a witness, when you view that as a in a cinematic attitude, if you view that incident in a cinematic fervor, you would get some kind of conclusions about the person, about the incident, and about yourself. And after getting the three types of derivations from the observations, you're going to experimentally derive that you never made that mistake. It was the mistake of somebody else, and you learned from that incident, and you have to now understand that you cannot or can think in a certain way about these kind of people, or any kind of people, or these kind of relations. For example, if a mother cheats a child, the child comes to understand, instead of being wounded and entering into a life of repercussions, after repercussions, the child comes to understand that we have to be careful. Even the mother is not to be trusted. That means there is no primary individual of the life who can be 100% trusted except the self. So then in that case, when this awareness arises within us, what happens is we take charge of our responsibility of ourselves, of our well-being, instead of giving it in the hands of the mother. This is the transformation that occurs. So once you have to stop and understand and see. And here, before I go to the next paragraph, I must tell you one thing, that it is very important for us to understand that calmer waters, moving into calmer waters is what? Calming effect comes from what? Calming is a psychic. Calming is the psychic ability of remaining unaffected, of remaining unperturbed, of maintaining the peaceful being and existence of the self in the psychic world. That is karma. CALMER. Karma what? Waters is what? Waters are related to emotions. Okay, so calm is the status of the mind, the status of the psyche, and the emotions are the waves, the waters, I would say the sea, actually the tossing sea, which tosses off the human stability at any moment. So emotions are something which are very dangerous, and you must be very controlled about emotions. The entire controlling power of the emotion must be within your hands. When you want to test a person about his like whether he is ready to heal from you, you release the emotion of yours to that person, give him some time, allow him to understand, and take the help of your emotions to withdraw from such kind of hurtful situations and recover. And if you see that the person is misusing your emotions, he is not ready to heal, but he is trying to take advantage of emotions, just withdraw that emotion of yours and become your calmer self. So that is another control that you have to maintain. So negative control must be avoided, and positive control has to be implemented. That is very essential in healing of self. Then we have emotions. About emotions, I have a bit of around a couple of points to mention here. Emotions are dark shadows. Actually, I can metaphorically refer them to shadows. Okay. Now these shadows are what they why do I call them shadows? Is because it makes your thoughts blurry and foggy. Actually, the vision becomes very bleak, in such cases where emotion operates, because emotion is already a kind of a particular kind of I can use a very official terminology, it's bias. Emotions are nothing but bias. Okay, now if I try to involve myself emotionally with certain kind of a person to whom I want to reach my healings to, uh, I will not be able to heal the person. Instead, I will land up wounding him and myself also. So, in order to heal yourself, you have to remain unattached from outside influence, and if you want to heal others, you have to keep them unattached, unaffected from your personal self. So here we can see that personal involvement, either from outside, that is the converging effect, towards within, or from within towards outside, that is the outer world, that is the divergence effect. So both convergence and divergence of personal involvement are absolutely restricted and prohibited in cases of emotional operations, control operations. Okay, emotional control will only come when there's going to be no personal nitty-gritties. It has to be very specific that what the suffering is. So here no person is considered. Here the situation and the person's influence from that situation, the affectation of that situation, from that situation of that person is considered. So, and here I am not considered. My quality of healing, my capacity to see through that circumstance, to see through the mistake of thought that has adhered to that person throughout the experience, throughout and after, as an aftermath, the repercussion of that experience is to be seen by the vision, to be envisioned by me, by my knowledge. So here comes knowledge and the suffering. These two are meeting with each other. Okay, you are the suffering and I am the knowledge. So here you and me has no existence here. I would say it is the knowledge which meets the suffering. It is the awareness which embraces the solution. So these personifications of things are not required over here. You have to, of course, rise to a great deal of abstraction in life. You see, abstraction is very important, and it is a kind of transcendental attitude, I would say. Just as well, calculativeness and specificity is as important as that when you are in the worldly situation. So, people who are not abstract in deeper ways are also not calculative and specific in worldly ways. It cannot be one side. Okay, if there is dark on one side, there has to be the light on the other side. It cannot be that both parts of the world are either illuminated or in darkness. Next, I would like to say the power that is we have, the power that with which we are going to retaliate. Okay, with which we are going to conquer ourself against the wounds, towards the healing. Okay, this healing must be established and accomplished through what kind of retaliation, that we have to understand. That is, you're not going to squander or abuse your self-respect in any way. This must be the first determination. So respecting ourselves is one very important medicine that is going to lead to the self-healing from any kind of wounds. Okay, now how do we function this self-respect in situations where our respect is at stake? This is a question very important, and every moment it arises, every moment there is a question of this kind, of the same kind, in different situations. For example, the self-respect of a child when he's being raped by his family, some of the family members, or he's being molested, she's being molested, or some child who's being forced to take drugs by some kind of family members or friends. So self-respect of the child is in question here. Okay, perhaps the child has not learned what is self-respect, and but he feels uncomfortable. He feels that his privacy, his right to dignity has been trespassed. That much he feels. The feeling is there, but the language and the description and the way he articulates this kind of incident is not clear at all. So what happens is the child feels the hurt but does not know it was a hurt or wound. So this unawareness of the wound does not allow him to heal actually, and he takes the course of his feelings. Okay, so self-respect must be taught to children right from their childhood, right from babyhood. You must treat the children as an individual, as individuals deserve dignity and respect. You must make them understand what is self-respect. Instead of telling by language, make them understand, and then little bits of definitions and words which the child is capable of understanding, at least according to its own fertile comprehensive capacity. Let us deliver that much of knowledge to the child day by day to make it understand what is self-respect and where the self-respect is trespassed, when somebody hurts it. A child is being hurt when he is not able to get good marks. Okay, a husband abuses the wife, or the wife cheats the husband. So these kind of things hurt the self-respect of an individual, whether it is a baby, a small one, or middle-aged, or an aged one. So any kind of person, adult or child, minor or major, whatever it is, the individual soul is absolutely hurt by these wrong actions. So now the question comes, how do we heal from it? Because you see, this is life, and life will bring about experiences which are sometimes reach the extremes of notoriety. Notorious it becomes. Sometimes it becomes intolerable. So these things are like sometimes on daily basis we seem to get these experiences. How do we get rid of them? That is very important. In order to get rid of these experiences, we must understand that we have to first justify, we have to understand the beneficial choice for the self. So the choice would be that the development, the reserve of power should be of ours. We cannot expect anything from outside. So again, expectations come into question. We must learn to expect from ourselves what we deserve, what we need, and the other person who is not able to give us that, we should not we are not in a position to compulse that to get it from compulsions through compulsions. Neither can we coerce the person, nor can we change the other persons. So what we can deal with is ourself, right? To begin from the tolerance, right from the beginning with the tolerance till the end of transformation, everything is about self. So here you have to work on the self and ultimately move to calmer waters. Now calmer waters is not an aeroplane ticket that I'm going to buy and fly off to say Bohemians, or fly off to some other kind of islands. That is not the case. Calmer means to attain that unaffected position of the psyche where I understand my peace, I recognize my peace, and I am not actually stumbling out of that seat of my peace. And water is the emotional waves, the emotional ups and downs, the topsy-turvies of the emotions of life of a human mind. That water is not going to actually disturb my constant state of peace. Hope you've understood, and it will be helpful for you. And with lots of blessings, I send to all of you this awareness to be instilled within your life, within your character, and bring about that peace, that calmer waters that you can experience in life. Thank you.